Okay, Miss Warren here. I have added the little legs and the tail to my armadillo. Because the tail is kind of long and thin, I reinforced it by connecting it to the foot and the bottom, just so it wouldn't fall off or break. I got those little feet attached to the bottom. I want the bottom pretty flat because I'm about to poke the whistle hole. So I'm going to think about where I want to blow into, which is the mouth, and then about maybe 1 or 2 fingers lengths away from where I blow into, I want to put the hole. So I'm going to be kind of marking where I want stuff to be, using this popsicle stick as my guide. So that's where I'm going to poke the noise hole, and then the air hole I'm going to poke through the mouth. So the first thing I'm going to do, and you kind of want to support your clay animal whistle, is you want to poke where you're going to blow into. You want to keep this flat and parallel, and you want to keep poking until you feel it go. You don't feel any more resistance. You're in the hollow area, but you don't want to poke all the way through to the other side. I saw this tail is pretty messy on the bottom. Smooth that out a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to poke it till it touches this back wall, but I don't want to poke a hole all the way through. Okay, now that I have that in there, I'm going to very gently pull this out. And that's the hole that I will blow into. Now about here is where I want the hole that makes the noise. So I'm going to poke straight down till I feel I get into that hollow area. I don't want to poke all the way through. I want to keep it at a 90-degree angle and kind of wiggle just a little bit. See that? It is perpendicular to the other hole I just pressed. Okay, I want to make sure that there's no clay crumbs in there. I'm going to go back in this hole, push one more time, make sure it's clear. See, there's a little bit of wet clay. You want to make sure your popsicle stick is pretty clean. So now you can see the popsicle stick in there. There's not any clay crumbs in the way. Now the next step is that this side you want to slant and it be a sharp edge that cuts the air in half and slants exactly towards that opening. So a lot of times what I will do, and there's lots of different ways to do this. You can YouTube, just make sure that there's not any extra clay crumbs in the way. I'm gonna kind of press the popsicle stick in there. Some YouTube videos use a little knife, some use 2 sticks. There's just lots of different ways to do this. And I'm going to work on slanting this wall towards the air hole opening. And I want that edge to be really skinny, so I'm going to cut away. And I don't want it to be the air to escape out either sides. I want it to force it across this little skinny edge and cut the air. Okay. Now I'm going to pull this out and I'm going to give it a test. I'm going to blow lightly on here. I don't want to get my mouth all over it because the clay is still wet and it will get in my mouth, but I'm going to blow lightly in there to see if it makes a noise. Okay, so it sounds kind of like air. It's not giving me the noise I want. So I'm going to go back in there. I'm going to make sure that there's no crumbs in the way. I'm going to make sure the air is not escaping anywhere else. And then I'm going to make sure that this angle is sharp and exactly towards the hole opening. It's been about a year since I've done this project, so even I need a refresher, and even I take normally about 4 tries to get it done. So that's making a little bit more of a noise, but not much. So I'm going to go back in there. I'm going to try again. So you want like these 3 areas straight up and down, and this last area really slanted. Let's try this again. Not quite. Okay, so I'm gonna make a video where I make just focus in on the whistle. If you get it to whistle, don't touch it. Leave it alone. Let it dry, because it's very easy to crush that once you get it to whistle. Now I'm gonna show you what you can do. Here, you know what? I think I want to see what the problem is. I'm gonna try one more time. It's not absolutely flat on this wall. I see some clay in the way. There I go. See, there was some clay right there in the way and I just had to poke it. And so now I've got my whistle hole. I don't want to add any more details to it because I might crush that hole. So I have to get it at the exact right angle to blow in at. So I'm going to leave it alone and I'm going to let it dry and I'm not going to touch it anymore. Now, if you try about 5 times and you're just not getting any sound out of it, what you can do is we're gonna make a shaker. And you make about 8 to 12 beads this size and let them dry off to the side. Now I wanna keep this one because that's a pretty good whistle. So I'm not gonna do this to this, but what you would do is that after you made about 8 to 12 beads about this size, you would poke them down in the whistle hole. You would patch that up so the little holes don't fall out. Then you would have to make, let me show y'all, some vent holes with a paper clip like this. Probably 6 or 7, so the air could escape when we baked it. But the holes are too small for the beads to fall through, but they're large enough for the air to escape on the bottom. And that's how you would make a shaker. I'll demonstrate that in my next video, but I'm gonna go ahead and leave this armadillo to dry since he's making the noise I want him to and he has all the details that I want.